It's a real honor to have an international audience, and I'm happy to say I've been to every one of your states and countries with the exception of Maryland.
Oh,
So I guess I will have to visit Maryland at some point. But yes, I've been to Australia many times, beautiful Mexico. I've got friends in California, friends in New York. I've got friends everywhere. So it's really wonderful to have all of you, and thank you for making the time. So before I get into the channeling and go over a couple of housekeeping items, I thought it might be of interest to you to learn a little bit about how I got here. And it's a really interesting story. Peter, I apologize, you've heard the story, but you're part of it, so I hope it's okay if I tell the story. Just over about a year ago, I was doing some spiritual work down in the Appalachian Mountains in northern Georgia. And I was at a workshop where I had had a number of visions, for lack of a better word, about a very beautiful but mysterious blue star. And I had no idea what this blue star meant, what I was supposed to do with the information. And I spoke with one of the facilitators at this spiritual workshop, who also happens to be a professional astrologer and an intuitive. And she said, Kate, I'm picking up that this blue star really does mean something to you, and that you've likely had a past life as a Hopi native. And if you research the blue star and the Hopi native tribe prophecies, you'll learn that the blue star is very much alive and well in their prophecies, and that in your past life, this blue star meant something to you. So she had advised me to, research all this when I came home. So I kind of, planned to do that. In the meantime, the day after I had this beautiful vision of the blue star, I ended up getting seriously injured at the spiritual workshop. Long story short, I got an elbow in the face by accident, and my nose was broken, and I had about a 2 to 3 inch gash on the right side of my cheek, right down to the bone. So as you can imagine, I was in shock, I was bleeding, I looked monstrous, and a lot of the fellow participants gathered around me, and they sat me down and they put a cold compress on my cheek. And I remember feeling so much pain. And then the next thing I felt were all these hands. And it was nothing short of miraculous, because with all these people putting their hands on me, the pain instantly went away. And I had later learned that many of these kind souls are actually Reiki practitioners. And so, long story short, not only did the pain go away that night, but it never came back. And so I finally went to hospital that night, and the surgeon told me, when you go back to Canada, you might want to look into a plastic surgeon. So it wasn't looking good. I was told it would be months of healing and that I would probably need surgery on my face. So when I came home, while I was recovering, I had no pain, and I noticed that the healing, which was supposed to take months, actually took only a couple of weeks. Within a couple of weeks, the 2 black eyes, all the bruising on the right side of my face was completely gone. And the plastic surgeon told me that I wouldn't need any surgery. So the good news is, my nose healed straight. I have a very fine scar. It's not that noticeable, but all that to say, I was a true and firm believer in Reiki. So as I was recovering, I was looking into the Hopi native prophecies, and I was researching the blue star. And I was also looking into where in the Toronto area I could find Reiki classes, because I was a believer. And as I was looking at the Hopi prophecies around the blue star, I learned that this prophecy actually came to them from a group of extraterrestrials by the name of the Pleiadians. Has everyone here heard of the Pleiadians? Okay, I'm seeing a lot of nods. Good. So you're familiar that they're very closely linked to Earth and humanity, and as it happens, they were also very closely linked to the Hopi, and they told the Hopi about this blue star that once was visible in the night sky would be a sign or an indication of a great change on Earth. And this change was more or less in the form of, the evolution of human consciousness. So I'm slowly starting to get more information, but I still had no real answers as to what I was supposed to do with that prophecy and what the blue star meant to me. As I was looking for Reiki classes in and around my area, I accidentally, or not so accidentally, came across a website that was advertising a channeling session that night that was entitled An Evening with the Pleiadians. And I can't tell you how compelled I felt to go, because I thought, I can ask the Pleiadians what this blue star is all about and what I meant to do with this information. And the funny thing is as you all know, channeling and automatic writing, it's just becoming mainstream. There are still so many people out there who don't believe or don't understand and don't know. And so I was too embarrassed at the time to ask anyone to come with me to a channeling session. So I showed up alone. And it's probably a really good thing I did, because, as soon as I walked in the door, I met Peter, along with 2 other channelers who are on the website. For those of you who had time to look at the website, Karen Ashby and Karen Haywood are now 2 of my closest friends and my partners in channeling. So that night, I met these 3 individuals who I had an instant resonance with. And I had an opportunity to ask the Pleiadians about this blue star, and they didn't want to steal my thunder and give me too much info, but they did let me know that I was in fact a Hopi native in a past life, and that the blue star is a real prophecy, and that there is a huge change and shift coming to humanity, and that I should further explore it, and that the year ahead would be very exciting and interesting. And they left it at that. They said, we don't want to take the excitement away. We're going to let you discover your path on your own, but you are definitely on the right path. So about 3 days after that session, I received a call from Peter out of the blue. And long story short, he said that the 2 other Karens who channel said that their respective beings, so the beings that they channel, suggested that it would be very positive if I joined their group, and that I would be a prime candidate for channeling. So Peter and I agreed to meet for coffee to discuss, the options and what this entailed. And he was, very kind at saying, you can ask me any questions you want and see if it resonates with you. Well, the morning before Peter and I met for coffee, as I usually do, I went online and I looked at the news, and one of the main headlines was a blue comet that was going to be visible in the night sky in the coming week or so. And when I read the article, it said that this blue comet would appear to be bluish in color, and that it would appear to come from the Pleiadian constellation. So for me, that was another telltale sign that I'm on the right path, and I really, really need to take this very seriously. So that afternoon, Peter and I had a fantastic meeting, and I was more than happy to meet with him and let him hypnotize me to see if I could channel. And I think Peter will probably chuckle when I retell the story, because I'm definitely not easy to hypnotize. I had never been hypnotized, and I think it took him a very long time. And Peter, if I recall correctly, you told me that when you would count to 10, most people are under, but at 27, I opened my eyes and perked up and looked at you and said, should I be hypnotized by now? So he had
I think
to
you have the record so far, Kate, for taking the longest time, but it's the surest time. And for the benefit of everyone, Kate can now make a connection in a matter of seconds, and you'll see that shortly.
Yeah, no, it's more minutes, but yeah, I'm working on seconds. So long story short, that first night I finally did go under. I was hypnotized, and I connected with a magnificent being by the name of Ovida, who is Andromedan from the Andromeda star system. And I saw her, and I had such a deep instant connection with her, and she is still one of my my main beings. Anytime I channel, for the most part, she is present. However, since I've been channeling now for over a year, many other beings have come in, and they just keep coming in, and the echoes of messages are also consistent in that there is a lot of great change coming to humanity, and while it will be bumpy, like all change, it's all going to yield a very positive outcome. So all that to say that, you know, through the injury, through you know, researching the blue star, through you know, my very lucky meeting with Peter and the two Karens, I have found my purpose, and it really is to channel and to communicate these amazing messages of universal wisdom and love and encouragement from all of these, you know, I like to call them cosmic brothers and sisters, because that's really what they are. So like I said, it's a real honor to be here. So I'm looking at the time. I know that we've got, I guess, another 50 minutes or so, 40 minutes.
We usually meet for about an hour or so. So anybody who needs to leave can leave, but
great.
We're happy to have you.
So what I would love to do, I'd love to bring in some of the beings for you. And usually what I do at this point in time to get into state is I go into somewhat of a meditative state. I assume it's probably not very different than how you all get into state prior to doing your automatic writing, which I would love to hear more about. And I sometimes will twitch a little bit, and I've been told that it's just the energetic connection that's being made. And usually it can take about 5 or so minutes for me to get into state, maybe a little early or a little bit later than that. But once I'm in state, the beings will announce themselves, and they'll let you know who they are. Sometimes they'll come right out with a message, and other times they'll just immediately invite questions. So maybe some of you have prepared questions. If not, that's okay. I'm sure that you'll think of some questions. It's probably a good time for me to let you know that for you to get the most out of this session, and it really is my goal to make sure that you all benefit and learn something. The beings, you know, while they can make premonitions about one's personal life, such as, am I going to get married? Am I going to win the lottery? I have to say it's not their forte. They really are here to help people tune into, you know, their own essence, to understand how we are all connected. They're here to impart a lot of really beautiful wisdom about Earth's history, how we're connected. And oftentimes when I've done private sessions for people, past lives will come through. And the purpose of that is to help someone understand a personal block that they may have, and more importantly, what they can do to overcome that. They're also quite good at looking at relationship patterns. So they've sometimes shown me the energy dynamic between two people or two groups. And the insight from what I've been told has been very, very helpful. So I just wanted to give you a little bit of background on, you know, what kind of information they're here to share. And so you can all think about a question that you may have. So before I get into state, are there any questions? Yes, Kathleen.
Hi.
Hi.
Thank you, Kate. Do you see these beings as you channel, or do you just hear them clairaudiently?
That's a really good question. Sometimes I see them, sometimes I don't. Whether I see the beings themselves or not, I do get visuals. They'll conceptually explain things to me, often through visuals. So they'll show me images and whatnot, but I've seen most of my beings at least once, some very clearly, some maybe a little bit more blurry. But I've sometimes channeled for people over Zoom who are clairvoyant, and they've told me that as I channel, they see lights coming, and they see these, you know, very tall light figures, and when I'm finished channeling, they see the light dissipate. So for me, that's also been, you know, another level or layer of validation, so that if I don't always see them clearly, at least other people have too.
Do they
And
have a different energy? Do the
they
different ones have?
do. Yes, they do have a different energy. And I have to say that all of them are very loving and very benevolent. But when they come in, I feel them in different areas. So Ovida and the Andromedans are usually kind of to the right of me, and the Arcturians are kind of behind on either side of me. And there is a Syrian master teacher that I channel, and he's got a very strong presence on the right side of me. And there's a number of other beings that kind of, you know, come straight in, and I know who they are because they just come right at me. And as of late in the last month or two, I've had a number of councils that have come in. There's a council that's related to Gaia, and I actually see them come up and out of the earth, which is really cool, because usually when I'm channeling beings, they kind of come from above or laterally or peripherally, but these ones actually come up and out of Gaia, which is really quite incredible. And I don't actually hear their voices. What I get, it's like an infused knowledge. So they'll show me images and they'll literally speak through me. And it's sometimes I'm infused with a knowing that can then just be relayed verbally. So what you might find is my voice will change a little bit. My intonation's quite different, but I can't say that it's drastically different. But if any of you are clairvoyant, you might get a good glimpse of them. Are any of you clairvoyant? Catherine, okay. Well, you might. Do you see anything right now? Oh, I think you're on mute. I'm sorry. Oh, your voice. You can't speak.
Well, I actually feel them and I sense them. So I've been sensing them as you're speaking.
Yes, yeah, they're on standby.
Yeah.
They're on standby.
They're
It's
listening
funny
in,
that you
actually.
say that, because when I channel for my friends in New York over Zoom, they say that sometimes the room is full.
Mm-hmm.
And then as I get into state, they kind of see them, you know, close in on me.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions before I start?
Sheila?
Yeah. I just wondered if you could briefly address what channeling is different from mediumship, of the kind that we do in this group.
Yes, that's a really good question. So from what I understand, mediumship is when you're connecting with beyond, but your, I guess, target audience or the people or individuals that you're connecting with, from what I understand, are those who've passed over. Channeling, while I have occasionally channeled a few deceased individuals, it's been rare. And I haven't gone in with the intention of channeling anyone who's crossed over. They've come in, if I've been channeling for an individual, it might be someone's father or someone's friend who's passed on. But for the most part, when I'm channeling, they are what I will call other dimensional extraterrestrial beings. And some have physical bodies, and some, from what I understand, are non-physical, and they exist in a light or pure spirit state. Does that answer your question?
I think it does. Thank you.
Great. You're very welcome.
And I hope
Peter, did you want to, sorry?
I hope sometime we can hear more about that elbow in the face. That's how that happened at a retreat.
She looked like she was in a hockey fight.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, you'd think. No, you know, I don't have a brave shark attack story attached to that one. It was, we were doing it during Trust Falls, and the lady that was falling unfortunately had her elbow out. It was unintentional, and it got me in the face, but I'm grateful that that happened because it led me to here. Okay. So if there are no other questions, I'll invite you all to go on mute if you're not already on mute. It does help me to you know, just have some silence and quiet so I can focus on getting into state. I have a little bit of a ritual that I go through in my meditative state to make the connection with my beings. And I'll ask Peter to facilitate while I'm in state, if that's okay with Sheila. Peter will just, you know, help manage questions. And Peter, of course, you're welcome to jump in and ask any questions that you think might be of interest to the group. And I guess someone will keep time as well, because I have no concept of time when I'm in state. So Sheila, is it okay with you if Peter facilitates while I'm channeling?
Yes, of course.
Great. That way you can just sit back and enjoy.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Great. Okay. Hello, everyone. We are here. It is Eir Ar. I am a blue avian being, and I am joined by two Arcturians. And we are so honored that you have made the time to connect with us. And as we are tuning into the group's energy, as well as your own individual energies and essences, it is important that we let you know that you are all light workers. And while some of you have recognized and identified yourselves as light workers, there are some of you that have not yet fully awakened to your purpose, to your very important role. And we would like to clarify that by a light worker, this does not necessarily mean that there is a specific mission that one needs to accomplish. This mission can very much be simply being in the presence of others. By simply shining your light, you can help raise the collective consciousness of those around you. And this in turn will permeate and ricochet across humanity. But it all must begin with one, with the individual. But there are others among you who, in addition to shining your light, have very specific roles. We are picking up that there are a few of you who are healers, and that you are coming into these skills, this talent, and we will encourage you to continue to learn and to heal, for there is much, much healing that needs to be done among your humanity. For there are many wounded souls, many individuals who, while their essence is of light, they feel that they are in the dark. And this is the very important mission of light workers. It is to heal, it is to enlighten, it is to guide, it is to teach, and it is to impart your messages. And we would like to say that not all light workers are star seeds, but there are a number of star seeds that are among you, and many of you have already made contact with what we will call and describe as your soul families. These soul families are not necessarily human entities. They are entities that you have been connected with for eons at a soul and heart centered level. And so we will encourage you to continue with your automatic writing and your mediumship, and to continue to open yourselves up to many more light-based entities that are lining up to connect with more people like you. For there are so many beings out in the cosmos who are more than willing and waiting, in fact, to impart their messages to help guide humanity. And for many, many individuals, this will happen through you. And so do not give up. For those of you who want to give up, and we feel that there are a few of you who are impatient in the group, who do not feel that they are as far along as they would like to be, to those of you, and we know that you know who you are, we are telling you specifically to stay true to your purpose and to remember that all comes in the right time and at the right time. And everyone's path and journey is very different and individual, and it is important that you do not compare yourselves to other light workers or mediums. For everyone's ability opens up at its own pace. It is like a flower. Some open quickly and others prefer to open slowly. But either way, their essence is all beautiful and intact. And so support each other and learn from each other. For there are some of you who are only now beginning to hone your talents and your skills. And for some of you, this will branch out into other avenues and other areas. For some of you, this will become a truer form of channeling. For others, you will teach and guide and assist others. And so you each have your own purpose. And so continue to explore. And as you explore, we invite you to tune into yourself and ask what resonates within you. For there cannot be any sense of obligation. When one finds their true purpose, it is a labor of love, as you like to say. You are driven by passion and excitement and nothing else. There is no pressure, nor should there be any rush or timeline. For remember, time does not exist. Time is artificial. We would now like to invite any questions.
Yeah, could you tell us a little about yourself? Where you're from? Are you physical? Your level or dimension of consciousness? Just fill in a little for us, if you would, please.
Yes. I am what some of you may know as the blue avian race. We have long been watchers and observers of humanity, much like the Arcturians who are with me tonight. We have also been protectors, not only of Earth and humanity, but of humanity's intact essence, of humanity's collective consciousness. I am, and my people, are 7th and 8th dimensional beings. We are highly evolved at a spiritual level. We do have a physical body. We are much taller than the average human. And for those of you who have never seen a blue avian, we are very much bird-like. However, we are bipedal. And many of us do fly. But our purpose, our collective mission, is to maintain an order of harmony in the universe, a universe that we share with Earth. And we are coming in to channel a number of high vibrational beings at this time because there is great change coming to your Earth. This change has already permeated Earth. There is much light coming onto your planet while you do not see it, while unfortunately you are not hearing of it through your media. from our vantage point, we see that it is gradually and steadily brightening. And this will lead to what we are calling the ascension of humanity, ascension to a new level of human consciousness. One that will see the majority, but not all, humans part ways with the negative aspect of their ego, that which anchors and locks them down, greed, fear, and anger. And that instead opens them up to a much grander existence, one that is baked in love, truth, light, and universal wisdom, one in which you will gradually come to understand the intricate connection that you share with so many cosmic beings who, while they may not look like you, they are equal sparks of light, and their essence is bright as yours. And we have all come in together to help awaken as many of you as possible. And many of you have already begun to open your spiritual eyes, if we may. But we need your help, you being the light workers, to help open the eyes of so many around you. And this takes us back to our earlier point that we need you. Your Mother Earth Gaia needs you. Humanity needs you. For without enough awakened individuals on your planet, ascension will be, let's say, tricky to say the least. Does this answer your question?
Well, that certainly broadens our understanding of who you are and what your mission is. Anyone else have a question? Yes, Sister Rosemary. Rosemary, sorry. Are you on mute? We can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
I have just recently become aware of the interaction of cosmic beings with our Earth. And I'm wondering, were there changes in our DNA because of the interactions of these cosmic beings? And are we like androids? Are we getting the channeling because we have part of their DNA?
Great question.
These are very good questions. We will answer your first question about cosmic beings coming in. These cosmic beings, in fact, have never left. It is humanity who has simply reopened their eyes and becoming aware once more of their presence. These beings are doing much for humanity, but it is not necessarily what we will call the ETs who are triggering what we will call the lost DNA strands to be reawakened and reabsorbed into the human genome. This is being done by a myriad of forces, including much incoming energy that is actually being emitted from the galactic core. And these pulses of energy carry with them information, and they are triggering many happenings at the body level as well as at the consciousness level. And we would like to say that you personally have beings that we would say comprise your entourage, and we feel that you have made contact with a few, but there are more that are coming in. And they are asking us to inform you to meditate more. For your mind is very active and it needs to be quietened for them to reach you more consistently and regularly. Does this answer your question?
Yes, I wonder how much is the natural evolvement of our universe? Are the various beings all part of the, and their interaction all part of our universe or evolution?
Yes, the best way that we can describe it is that many, but not all of the beings that are supporting and helping humanity and Earth at this time, many are different collectives and races from across your universe, but there are many beings from the multiverses. For it is important to know that everything is intricately connected energetically. The planets and stars are interconnected, as they are to beings, to animals, to everything on Earth and elsewhere that has a life force. And so ascension for humanity would not happen in isolation. It will have a repercussion that will be felt across this universe and across the multiverses. And so while many beings are coming in to assist, they are doing this for Gaia and for humanity, but they are also doing this because once humanity ascends, the ripple effect will be felt across the universe, and as such, there will be a number of other races who in turn will experience a mini or sub-ascension of their own. And so as light comes onto Earth, this light is internally felt, and in turn, it is reflected and emitted outwards. And that light travels energetically to other planets and star systems where it is felt by the beings. And so, as they say, this show is the show of all shows. All universal eyes are on Earth. And so Earth's evolution is intricately connected to the evolution of the universe and everything within it. However, this ascension is quite unique, for it will be not only an ascension at a planetary level, it will be an ascension that will happen for humanity as well as a number of species on Earth. And so it is a multifaceted ascension. Nothing like this has ever occurred before. While there have been many ascensions elsewhere, this is by far the most, let's say, complex and beautifully explosive ascension. We hope this answers your question.
Yes, thank
That
you.
it triggers some more. Anyone else? Sheila.
I'm just wondering about the damage that we've done to the Earth. We're talking about the Earth, and whether is there still time to save it?
Earth will heal. Yes, there is much damage. But what we have seen and have been telling Kate for some time is that post-ascension, humanity will come into what we are terming the golden age. However, at the beginning of this golden age, there will be a time of great healing and cleansing for not only many humans, but for Gaia, Mother Earth herself, for as you may know, she is a sentient and conscious being. She is deeply kind, generous, and benevolent. But humanity will band together alongside many ETs who will lend their technology to help clean and heal the Earth. And in time, once the Earth is healed, she will flourish in all of her glory. And so this is not to say that you can continue to pollute or act irresponsibly, for human consciousness must change and evolve. You must be aware of the consequences of your actions. This is a necessary and important step towards ascension. But the long answer here is that she will be healed. But the more damage that is done prior to ascension, the longer it will take to heal. But there is hope. But the change must start now. And it must start with each of you.
Someone else? Yes, go ahead, Abby.
Is there a reality that there are dark energies that are at play in all of our interactions, or at least here on Earth? Was Earth created, or at least the humans that are here now, as a type of experiment with different types of positive and negative energies?
That is a very complex question. And what we can say is that there have been a number of genesises throughout your history. Human or modern men and women do not look like what they were destined to look like, for there has been much tampering with your DNA. And yes, there has been what we will call experimentation. Many of you have what we will refer to as alien or ET DNA, in addition to the DNA that was terraformed here on Earth. So you are a mix, a beautiful mixture of many traits, talents, and qualities from many different ETs. And there has been some positive tampering from what we will call light-based ETs, and unfortunately there has been some negative tampering with your DNA from what we will call darker forces. It is important to say at this time that all of this information will become clearer and will be more fully disclosed in the future. All of your questions, and we understand you have many, will be answered. But yes, it is enough for you to know and understand at this time that you are all of mixed ET races, and that your DNA is and will continue to evolve.
Go ahead, Abby.
As a follow-up, yeah, we're evolving. Is there any kind of master plan? Is there anybody, I mean, we have watchers and protectors, but you say the ascension, what is the goal and purpose? I mean, in my earth body, in my mind, I think it's to get closer to God or infinite intelligence, return to the source where we were created. But maybe there's more. Maybe there's more of that. It's probably on a larger scale.
Yes. Many of the beings that are channeling with humans now exist at different levels of consciousness and in different dimensions. Humanity has been, we will say, surviving, for lack of a better word, in the lower levels of consciousness for millennia. And as has been the case for many beings who we will say are more further along in their conscious development, it is time for humanity to graduate to the fourth and fifth dimensions, where they will experience a grand connection and a reunion with all of their universal brothers and sisters. And as such, they will have a deeper understanding of Source and their connection to Source, and in fact, everyone's connection to Source. And as humanity will evolve in time, gradually but surely, they in turn will reach new heights that will enable them to assist other civilizations elsewhere who are going through similar challenges than what you are experiencing now. And so this is one of many steps up the staircase towards what we will call a state of sheer and pure enlightenment and all-knowing. And it is important to say that many of you have had many past lives off planet where you have existed in higher levels of consciousness and where you have experienced ascension in other forms and in other worlds, in other realms. But you have all chosen, as all humans who are here now have all chosen to come here at this time to learn, grow, and develop spiritually. But more importantly, they have come at this specific and epic time in Earth's history in order to experience a grand ascension. For ascension from the third to fourth dimension of consciousness is one of the largest and most significant, and as a result, it is by far the most rewarding. So it not only serves a purpose at an individual and spiritual level for each being that experiences it, it serves a purpose for the collective consciousness of humanity in how it will work and connect to other beings, and in time, in turn, how it will help and guide other civilizations. And so there is, to your point, or to your question rather, there is a cosmic master plan, and only Source can truly answer this. But we know that this ascension is destined, and it will be grand. And so hold on tight, as you like to say, because it's going to be quite an amazing ride.
What would life be like for someone who has arrived and is squarely in the fourth dimension?
Are you asking for a human?
Please.
We are showing Kate a visual of a blindfolded human who only dimly sees the light through a very thick, heavy, damp cloth. And from the very dim light that they do perceive, they are trying to piece together the truth. But of course, as they piece it together, it is incorrect, and they stumble through life, injuring themselves, and they feel fear and frustration. This is how we, on our side, can best describe your existing human experience in the third D. When you ascend to the next dimension and to a higher level of consciousness, this blindfold will come off and you will no longer stumble. You will see the light clearly and permanently. And not only will you see the light, but you will hear the truth. You will understand who you are, what you are, and how you are so deeply connected. And as a result of this new spiritual seeing, you, meaning humans, will learn to hone and develop many of your birthright and innate abilities that up until now are unknown to you or have been very, very difficult to master. Some of these abilities, if you will, include telepathic communication, astral traveling. You will see many beings in other dimensions that many of you do not see, for the veil between dimensions will be far thinner, and you will be able to see another being in the same way that you are able to see a human standing next to you in this moment. With that will come the dawning of new experiences of space travel, of tremendous collective and individual healing, and the answers will not be withheld from you at an individual level, nor any of the answers that you seek to know and understand about the universe and the cosmos in general. You will be joining your light family in a greater level of understanding and you will reach a much more harmonious existence. Your fear, frustration, and anger will melt away, and you will feel deep love and calmness. Your insecurities will be gone, and you will seek to help and assist each other more than you do so now. You will shift from a mindset of service to self to service to others. And many of you, and by you we mean the light workers, many of you all are already in service to others, but this will be greatly enhanced once you ascend, and it will be deeply rewarding. For remember, as you help others, you too will be helped. As you teach others, you too will learn. As you love others, that love will be returned to you exponentially. And so there is so much for you to look forward to. You will spread your wings in every way possible, and you will fly and you will soar to new heights. Does this answer your question?
I suspect that it raises a few. Would anyone like to jump in and maybe ask about? Yeah, go ahead, Sister Rosemary.
How might we foster this ascension? And I heard that there were 6 types of cosmic beings who were going to present themselves to the United Nations in order to reveal the process and the action of these cosmic beings. Do you know anything about that?
We are tuning into this. ETs, or what you may refer to as cosmic beings, will make themselves visible in time. And we will say that in the past, there was a grand plan to unveil a number of different beings to the UN. This has happened at the governmental level. This has happened decades ago. However, it was kept secret and it was shrouded from the public. In the future, these beings will become visible to the masses, to the public, for they have learned, sadly, that working with government bodies has not always yielded the most positive results. And while it has served the purpose of a few select groups, those of us who are more along the positive continuum are not what we would say satisfied and happy with the results of any specific interaction between governments and ETs. And so we are regrouping and we are learning to take a different approach. And one of these approaches is through working with individuals while they dream or in the dream time, in meditation, and in channeling. For we need to reach those who need to hear our messages. And for those of you who want to help Ascension along, we will invite you to be the light, to be the love that you want to see in your world. For it all starts with you. Light is an energetic and contagious entity. When one brightens their aura and their essence, this has a ripple effect on those around them. You cannot see this with the naked eye, but it is very, very real. And so act towards those around you in the way that you would envision the 4th dimension being like. Act with greater harmony, with greater love. Spread the word. Help people move away from fear, for it is fear and negativity that holds people down and back from their true potential. And if you are having a difficult time experiencing this within yourself, we will encourage you and all of you to meditate, and meditate more. We cannot stress this enough. Meditation is your personal channel to your birthright ability to connect with the above and the beyond. We hope this answers your question.
Yes, thank you.
Someone else? Perhaps you could explain a little bit that this is a time of acceleration. The good stuff is getting better, it seems. The bad stuff seems to be getting worse. And we're feeling some effects of that ourselves, I think, as individuals. We're feeling a little bit of nausea, lightheadedness, things like that. And I think we're getting a bit of a vibrational upgrade here at the same time. Can you just elaborate on some of those ideas, please?
Yes. You are all being, or rather, you are all in receipt of much cosmic energy. As we've mentioned earlier, there is much energy that is originating from your galactic core. This is helping to raise the vibration of humanity, for this is a necessary step towards ascension. And what you will find, as many of you start to raise your vibration, you will experience a greater, what we are calling, polarization effect. We have shown Kate in the past and are showing her now a visual of two masses of energy moving along a continuum or a spectrum. On the one hand, the mass that is moving towards the light end of the spectrum is very bright, and it is growing, and it is gaining momentum, it is accelerating. This mass represents the collective energy and consciousness of humans who are slowly and gradually raising their vibration, who are raising their level of consciousness and are steadily moving towards ascension. On the other side of that spectrum, there is a slightly denser, darker mass of energy that is moving towards the darker end of the spectrum. And this represents the negative energy, whether it be those who are anchored and locked down by anger and hate and all that creates frustration and darkness in your world. They sadly are moving along the other end of the spectrum. And chances are they will not ascend at this time. They will continue to experience life in this reality or in this dimension. And so this is what we are referring to as a greater polarization. Mm-hmm. And it is important to note here that your media outlets are heavily biased, and they are focusing almost solely on the negative side of the spectrum. And so for any of you light workers who are looking at your news, you feel that the world in its entirety is darkening, but we assure you this is far from true. There is far more light on your planet now than there has ever been, and this will continue to brighten and evolve. And as such, for those of you who are on the lighter and brighter side of this polarization, you will become increasingly intolerant to those who express much hate and negativity. You will naturally feel the need to move away from them, to gradually limit the amount of time that you are exposed to that negativity. And we would encourage you to surround yourself with positivity. Turn off your news, turn off your radios, for they feed you not the truth. They are biased, and they are not helping you, nor are they helping humanity. The truth that you need and seek lies within, for within each of you, you have access to universal truth and wisdom. You simply need to learn how to tune in and listen to it. And Peter, you mentioned an acceleration. Yes, as everyone in your realm inches towards ascension, time is speeding up. Everything is accelerating. And at the point of ascension, there will be what we will describe as a temporary halt, a collapse of time, if you will. And then there will be a rebirth and a reopening of a new sense and understanding of time. And we will leave you with that.
Someone else?
We need to start wrapping up.
Okay.
Was there a last question?
ER, you may have some final comment for the group.
Yes, we would like to thank you all for the work that you are doing to help spread the light, to help those around you, even for your own individual spiritual awakening, for we understand that this can be wrought with challenges. And as you experience this, you will be faced with some of your own inner challenges. Welcome these emotions, for they need to be felt and experienced in order for you to move through them and above them. For part of ascension is making peace with the challenges in your past. And a huge ingredient in this is forgiveness and self-forgiveness. You must forgive everyone who has hurt you, and you must forgive yourself for how you have hurt yourselves or how you have hurt others. Through this forgiveness, you will be able to release any anger or fear that still permeates in your being. And love, calmness, joy, and harmony will be more easily felt and experienced. And so continue along your paths. And we thank you for your work, and we thank you for listening to us. We wish you much love and light. Many blessings.
Blessings to you.
Thank you so very much. We really appreciate that. No, it
Give
takes,
her some quiet time to just
yes,
come back.
no, it takes a lot of energy. Okay. Does anybody have anything they want to say or add?
You back, Kate?
I'm back.
Sure.
Feeling heavy, but good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Is that a round of applause there, Kathleen? Nice.
Did you want to say something, Kathleen? Nope. Just thank you. We
Yeah.
appreciate the energy that it takes to do that.
Thank you. Thank you. It was wonderful. Thanks for granting me the opportunity to channel for you. I hope it made sense. I hope you learned something.
I'm sure everybody seems to be, well, yeah, well.
The
Good.
recording of this will be very valuable.
Yes, go ahead.
Because listening to it over and over, you get more and more from it.
Kathleen?
I have a question for Kate and Peter. When you do regressions or remembering of past lives, is there a sense that some of these light beings, other than a spirit guide, will step in? Maybe one of the avians or the Arcturians will help you on your past life remembrances? Or do you really think, Peter, you're connecting with your spirit guides? Just curious.
Well, I do it in hypnosis, and people go back and report themselves what they're experiencing. But I found that if you want a clearer picture on a past life, ask a channel being, because they seem to be able to go to the soul, which is the repository of all experience, and access all the lives. And so I would suggest that go to a channeler rather than a hypnotist if you want a clear story and a bigger, more comprehensive one. As well
Yeah,
as,
and if I can add to that, what I've found with the channeling is that the beings don't simply bring up a past life for the purpose of letting you know that you had a past life in Atlantis or, you know, in ancient Rome. They come through to let you know that there may still be a block or a trauma that you experienced in that past life that is still with you and that you need to clear and heal at a spiritual level. You know, just to give you a high level example, I have done some channelings for individuals who, you know, had a really deep unexplained fear, and it turns out that that fear was from a past life, and then they understood that there was no reason for them to have that fear in this life, and that they were able to just let it go and surrender it. Sometimes the past life may pick up on a dynamic that you had with an individual in that life. So I did a channeling for someone who had a real fear of public places, and turns out in his past life he was a hermit. And every time he had to go into town to get supplies, people would whisper and laugh and poke fun at him, and it was very traumatic. And so the whole purpose behind channeling that past life was to help him realize that he has no reason to have social anxiety in this life, because the anxiety was relevant to the past life, and that this life was not a life where he was meant to be made fun of or, you know, talked about behind his back. And so that was very insightful. It really resonated with him, but more importantly, it helped him heal, and it helped him overcome a lot of that anxiety.
Thank you.
Yeah, a hypnotist can touch on that, but a channeler can go much deeper and be much more helpful.
Yeah. Fascinating.
Mhm.
Oh, okay. Does anybody else have anything they want to add?
I'd love to ask if there was anything that the being said today that you learned. Was there something new that you didn't know before?
Personally, I'm going to have to go back and watch the tape again.
Yeah.
Take notes.
Yes, I would say I learned quite a bit. This is my first experience at channeling
Oh.
cosmic beings, and it answered several questions that I had.
Oh, that's great.
Thank you so much. You have a true gift.
Oh, thank you. Well, it's a gift to be able to share it, no doubt.
You didn't know you were an ET at one time.
Pam, did you have something? Pam? No, I thought, Pam, that you had something. No?
No, not me.
Okay, never mind. Yes, Abby?
I think I was scratching somewhere.
Oh.
Just real quick, I just wanted to thank you, Kate. You probably don't remember anything you were talking about when you were channeling.
I do actually. I'm not what you would call a trance channeler. Trance channelers are usually, you know, they come out and they have very little recollection. I am fairly aware, and while I don't remember all the details, I do remember the gist. But sometimes I go back and I listen to a recording, and I'm reminded of some of the messages. So I record all of my channelings, and I probably have about 250 to 300 channeled recordings now.
Wow.
So it's an encyclopedia of info that I plan to write about at some point soon.
Well, a lot of the things you said hooked up with things I've read, and it's always nice when you get that affirmation from another source.
Yes.
It's exciting to think that we're on a positive track if we all do our work and have good intentions about it all.
Absolutely. Well, it's good validation that what my being said echoed what your being said. And what I'm finding, because I do channel with two other ladies, Karen Ashby and Karen Haywood, and you know, we often channel for each other. and there's a lot of validation. And today, as it happens, we received a note on our website from an individual in the Czech Republic who shared a channeled message that one of their friends had, and it was the same thing, all about ascension and the polarization of energies on Earth. And this individual is also trying to get the message out. So, you know, it just goes to prove that no matter what country you're in, no matter what religion or culture or upbringing you had, we're all getting the same messages, and hundreds of thousands of people can't be wrong.
We can connect a little bit in that regard too. A little while ago, I started a Facebook group page called the Channeling Connection. And Kate and other channelers are putting recordings up on that, and they're willing to answer questions. As well, today I launched the first monthly edition of a newsletter that kind of works in conjunction with the Facebook page, also called the Channeling Connection newsletter. If you want, tune into them. Sheila can get you the URLs, I guess, or the addresses. And Kate and the two Karens, or the three Ks, have recently launched a beautiful website that I highly recommend you look at. There's free recordings there and much more. It's ascensioncalling.com. And check it out.
I did send that out to the group yesterday, so everybody in our group has that.
Good.
Yes, and a few of you have joined the newsletter. Thank you. Something's coming out soon.
Good, good, wonderful.
Great.
All right. Well, I have a phone appointment with a client. I'm happy to leave the line open if anybody wants to stay, but I have to leave. I'm going to stop.
I will have to